Ji-woo came to boxing practice for the first time. She just got into position when she was suddenly kicked hard and sent flying. A thug behind her took the chance to grope her and mocked her, saying her chest was small and cute. Ji-woo fought back without hesitation. The man, feeling humiliated, grabbed her hair and punched her hard. In this boxing gym full of men, everyone bullied Ji-woo. Despite all this, Ji-woo kept throwing punches 100,000 times a day, determined to avenge her dad's death. A week ago, she was just a high school student who went to school on time. Her dad suddenly went missing and became the most wanted criminal. Since then, a police car followed her to school every day. In class, she was bullied by her classmates. Even the teacher, worried she would affect others, advised her to drop out. Ji-woo returned to her seat and found it covered in chalk dust. The chubby girl nearby teased, saying it was drugs and to call the police. Ji-woo couldn't take it anymore and threw the bag in her face. The chubby girl, using her strength, pushed her down. After some fighting, the chubby girl pulled out a knife. Ji-woo quickly dealt with them all. She ripped off her school badge, gave it to the teacher, and decided to drop out. Ji-woo took out her anger on a police car, then quickly ran away. She went to the beach, waiting for the sunset. Today was her 17th birthday, and she missed her dad, but couldn't reach him. Ji-woo kicked over the birthday gift her dad left by the door, planning to eat instant noodles to celebrate alone. Yoon Dong-hoon called Ji-woo from a public phone to wish her a happy birthday. A heartbroken Ji-woo shared her recent nightmare-like experiences. She told her dad not to come back, saying she'd rather think he was dead. Yoon Dong-hoon felt guilty as he looked at the hundreds of texts from Ji-woo. He risked getting caught and decided to return home. As he opened the door, a man in black appeared behind him. Ji-woo heard a noise and saw her dad through the peephole. Yoon Dong-hoon held the door handle tightly, not letting Ji-woo open it. Then, gunshots rang out. Yoon Dong-hoon begged the killer not to hurt his daughter. The killer fired another shot and left. Yoon Dong-hoon used his last bit of strength to break the key, just to keep Ji-woo safe. Ji-woo pushed the door open and helplessly held her dad, lying in a pool of blood. At the funeral, the gangster boss Yoon Dong-hoon served came to pay his respects. Ji-woo asked Choi what he made her dad do and who killed him. Choi told Ji-woo she only needed to remember two things. Yoon Dong-hoon was his good buddy and Ji-woo's good dad. Then he turned and left. Ji-woo looked at her badly injured dad and secretly swore to get revenge. After the funeral, she went to confront the police. She asked why they weren't investigating the killer. The police said there were no clues left at the scene and that Yoon Dong-hoon's last call was to her. Suddenly, Ji-woo realized if she hadn't said hurtful words that day, her dad might still be alive. Holding her dad's ashes, she went to Choi, asking him to help find the killer. She wanted revenge herself. Choi handed her a knife and told her to stab him. She was too scared to move. Choi slapped her to the ground, bringing her back to reality. Ji-woo went home alone. She was staring at her dad's keys, lost in thought. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Ji-woo saw a man dressed exactly like the one who killed her dad. She was too scared to breathe. Only after he left did she relax. But then she felt cowardly. She grabbed a baseball bat and quickly ran after him. But the man had already driven away. Ji-woo didn't give up. She posted flyers everywhere, offering a reward of $5 million for any leads on the killer. Soon a guy called, saying he had information and told her to bring cash for a deal. But it was a trick by some bad guys. They not only took Ji-woo's money, but also beat her up. After realizing she was a girl, they got interested, knocked her out, and took her away. When Ji-woo woke up, she found her hands tied and herself lying in the trunk of a moving car. As she tried to free herself, the car was stopped. Ji-woo used a knife to cut the rope. Suddenly, the trunk opened. Frightened, she swung the knife, but a hand grabbed it. It was Choi who had come to rescue her. Ji-woo asked if he had found her dad's killer. Choi warned her to stop acting out and stay low unless she wanted to die on the streets. Ji-woo believed it was her fault her dad died, and she wouldn't give up on finding the killer. Seeing her determination, Choi asked if she was willing to do anything for revenge. With firm eyes, Ji-woo said she was ready to give everything. Choi took her to a hitman training camp filled with tough young men. She was the only woman. Choi told Taiju to take care of Ji-woo. Gangjai showed kindness to Ji-woo and smiled as he led her to the dorm. With Ji-woo there, Gangjai was no longer the lowest-ranked member. Now he had to work harder. He aimed to climb to the top of the Dongcheon gang. Ji-woo put her dad's ashes on the shelf to inspire herself. As a newcomer, Jiwoo's days here weren't easy. She had to wash dishes and mop floors every day, and people around her teased and excluded her. Nobody stepped in to help, just watching from the side. Maybe they thought Jiwoo wouldn't last long. At night, while others rested, Jiwoo practiced hard. Choi was moved by her determination and started teaching her how to fight. Fighting requires being fierce and vigorous, not relying on brute force and hitting the opponent's weak spots. He then showed her the moves himself. Jiwoo was easily defeated, but she didn't give up. She had talent, but her strength was too weak. Day after day, Jiwoo trained like crazy. She imagined the punching bag as her enemy, hitting it again and again until it almost burst. Jiwoo took an oath to join the Dongcheon gang. Then, a big brawl started. The rule was simple: the last one standing won. Jiwoo focused on her opponent's weak spots, fighting just as fiercely as any man. Gangjai was also strong, knocking everyone to the ground. He won the fight and got a 10 million prize. The crowd cheered for him, but Choi said there was still one person left standing. It was Jiwoo. The final showdown between them began. Neither planned to hold back, and both fought hard. Being a man, Gangjai clearly had more strength and stamina. Jiwoo dodged his attacks skillfully. She locked his arm, flipped him over, and finished with an elbow strike, ending the fight. Choi raised Jiwoo's hand and declared her the winner. A few days later, Gangjai finally woke up. His roommate made fun of him for being knocked out by a woman. This hurt Gangjai's pride a lot. Jiwoo apologized to him. He pretended not to care and said it was fine. While Jiwoo was taking a shower, Gangjai slipped drugs into her cup. His roommate reminded him that the boss brought her here. Jiwoo drank the water and passed out on the bed. Gangjai brought a guy into Jiwoo's room. Even though she was barely conscious, Jiwoo fought back. In the struggle, she accidentally knocked over her dad's ashes. She held onto a broken piece tightly to stay awake. Without hesitation, Jiwoo stabbed the guy's balls. Gangjai laughed like crazy from the side. Jiwoo used the chance to escape the room. Gangjai grabbed a hammer and chased after her. He was ready to kill Jiwoo. Luckily, Taiju arrived just in time. Gangjai was brought to the organization's headquarters. This was the place he always dreamed of coming to, but now he arrived in this way. Choi told him to choose between his face, hands, or feet. Gangjai knelt down, begging for mercy. He thought he had only made a small mistake and hadn't really harmed Jiwoo, but Choi valued Jiwoo and didn't want to let it go. Seeing Gangjai not make a choice, Choi decided for him. Taiju stood silently, saying nothing. Gangjai's eyes were full of hatred. Jiwoo felt sad looking at the broken urn. She had not only caused her dad's death, but also failed to protect his last belongings. She felt deep guilt and regret. After Jiwoo bandaged her hand, Taiju told her to leave quickly. Because of Jiwoo, he had lost a valued subordinate. This was her last chance to stop being foolish. Jiwoo said she wasn't going anywhere, and it was too late to stop now. Then, she was taken to a warehouse. Choi had been waiting for a long time. This was a place where he and her dad used to drink together. He pulled out some documents and told her that the old Jiwoo was dead, and from now on, she would live as Oh Hyejin. Choi took out a gun and said this was the gun that killed her dad. Jiwoo asked who the killer was. He said the killer was a cop, and she needed to find that guy and kill him next. As time passed, Jiwoo's fighting skills got better. She tattooed the Dongcheon gang's symbol on herself and became a police officer. Jiwoo chased a criminal into an alley. Her colleague told her not to be so reckless. She saw the criminal go upstairs and followed, asking her colleague to call for backup. The criminal was checking the drugs. Pildo told him to call his boss for the deal. Turns out it was an undercover drug bust. Pildo was a police officer too. Jiwoo grabbed a chair and smashed the glass. She used handcuffs as boxing gloves and quickly arrested the criminal. Pildo was angry. She had wrecked a 6-month operation. Jiwoo went to the police station to meet someone. He was Captain Cha, the suspect in her dad's murder. Jiwoo had applied twice to join narcotics. Captain Cha asked why she was so determined. Jiwoo only said she had someone she wanted to catch. Captain Cha was impressed with her passion and accepted her application. Jiwoo told Choi that she got into narcotics. Through Captain Cha, she should soon find the killer. Choi looked at a distant warehouse, remembering the past. Jiwoo's dad saved him there. He gave his knife to Jiwoo, telling her to kill the killer when she found him. The Dongcheon gang would protect her at all costs. Jiwoo arrived at her new department and was assigned as Pildo's partner. She wasn't welcomed because she had messed up Pildo's undercover operation before. On their first mission, Pildo stayed in the car. He told Ji-woo to catch the drug dealer Mango. He wanted to teach this rookie a lesson, but Ji-woo wasn't a weak woman. By the time Pildo arrived with backup, she had already knocked out all the thugs and caught Mango by herself. During the interrogation, Mango refused to confess. When Pildo searched for drugs, he was misled by Mango. Ji-woo noticed Mango and his men exchanging looks. Sure enough, she found the drugs hidden in a bottle. After this, Pildo finally accepted Ji-woo as his partner, and even his tone became much friendlier. He reminded Ji-woo not to be so reckless next time, especially without wearing a bulletproof vest. During the interrogation, Mango refused to reveal where the drugs came from. He kept saying the drug maker was very violent. Meanwhile, the drug maker was at a nightclub selling his new drugs. He was Gangjai, the one whose face Choi had disfigured 5 years ago. The police suddenly launched a secret operation, and their target was Choi. Everyone's phones were taken away, and Ji-woo started to panic. Captain Cha had been planning this operation for a long time. He found out through surveillance that Choi was going to check a new drug factory. Ji-woo tried to steal back her phone to inform Choi, but failed. As soon as Choi got on the boat, the police followed, fully armed. Pildo slowly approached Choi. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. The cabin went dark. Choi escaped in the chaos. His men set fire to destroy all the evidence. The operation was a complete failure. Ji-woo found a gun. She noticed that Captain Cha's face changed when he saw the scratch marks on the gun. This gun was the police gun that killed Ji-woo's dad. Choi got mad because their location was exposed. He told Taiju to find out who the traitor was. Taiju purposely mentioned that Ji-woo didn't tell them about the police operation in advance. His attempt to stir up trouble worked. Choi didn't answer any of Ji-woo's calls. Captain Cha was also angry. He checked everyone's guns, trying to find out who fired, but no bullets were missing. Ji-woo learned from Pildo that the previous arrests of drug dealers were just a setup. The police wanted to raid when Choi let his guard down, but he escaped in the end. Ji-woo saw her dad's name in Choi's relationship chart. She tried asking about her dad, but got nothing. Captain Cha got scolded by his boss for not doing a good job. At the dinner, Ji-woo gathered more intel. Captain Cha was so determined to catch Choi, partly because drugs harm people, and partly because his partner died in a drug bust. Suddenly, Choi called Ji-woo. Ji-woo explained what happened during the last operation. When Choi heard that there were cameras in his place, he became even more sure there was a traitor in the gang. He asked Ji-woo if she was the one who fired the shot on the boat. Ji-woo couldn't think of another way at the time, so she caused chaos to help him escape. Choi felt relieved. He then ordered his men to remove all the cameras. When Captain Cha saw Choi staring at the camera, he began to suspect Ji-woo, because only his anti-drug team knew the location of the cameras. Gangjai prepared for 5 years for revenge. He and his men wiped out the killer training camp. Taiju knelt down and surrendered. Gangjai told him to pick between his face, hands, or feet. Knowing Taiju couldn't choose, Gangjai broke his arm. He left a message on the ground, telling Choi he was back. Ji-woo followed Captain Cha and saw him ask someone to investigate the gun. Then he got a call and left in a hurry. Ji-woo also got an urgent mission call. When Captain Cha asked, Taiju refused to say anything. Ji-woo saw the bloody scene and anxiously asked if Choi was still alive. Pildo was confused by her reaction, saying Choi wasn't there. Choi stopped his men from giving any info to the police. He wanted revenge his own way. The police searched the crime scene many times but found no clues. Ji-woo sent messages to Choi but got no reply. Choi went to the temple to honor the dead members. After Ji-woo checked that Choi wasn't hurt, she turned to leave. Meanwhile, Captain Cha and Pildo were walking toward her. Ji-woo quickly pulled down her helmet. As Pildo passed her, he had a strange feeling. Captain Cha sat across from Choi, saying he would bring him to justice. In response, Choi firmly said the police couldn't catch him no matter what. The police made progress in their investigation. They found that a car was parked nearby when the crime happened. The dashcam happened to catch a glimpse of Gangjai. Ji-woo realized that Gangjai, missing for years, had come back for revenge. The police only knew Gangjai once worked for Choi, but they didn't know what conflict they had. Captain Cha predicted Choi would retaliate. He ordered Mango to be released to provoke a fight between Choi and Gangjai. Ji-woo immediately informed Choi that it was all a trap. In the following days, Choi didn't take any action. Captain Cha became even more suspicious of Ji-woo. Since she joined, the department's intel had been leaking frequently. Captain Cha intentionally said in front of everyone that one of Choi's men was ready to switch sides and would meet him soon. Then he called Pildo into his office to discuss something in secret. Ji-woo told Choi the news and quickly followed Captain Cha. Taiju found an extra bag of drugs and a piece of paper in the car. His face looked bad, and then he drove to a crossroads. Captain Cha was already there, waiting. Ji-woo hid behind her helmet and watched from nearby. She tried to move to a better spot but was ambushed by Pildo. After a fight, Ji-woo still managed to escape. She rode past Captain Cha and saw that the one he was meeting was Taiju. Taiju sensed something was wrong and left right away. After seeing the photos, Captain Cha became more suspicious of Ji-woo, but naive Pildo still thought Ji-woo was innocent. Ji-woo told Choi that Captain Cha was setting a trap to find the traitor in the police force. Choi looked at Taiju, lost in thought. It turned out that the paper Taiju got was a trick from Captain Cha, using Gangjai's location to make him show up. Ji-woo got the gun analysis report from the administration department. It said that the gun was assigned to Song Junsu from narcotics in 2004. Ji-woo suspected Song Junsu was Captain Cha's helper. She decided to get more information before avenging her dad. Captain Cha said that Song Junsu was killed by the Dongcheon gang less than a month after joining narcotics. Ji-woo sensed something was wrong and went to confront Choi. Choi denied anyone in the Dongcheon gang killed the police. He believed it was all part of Captain Cha's plan and warned Ji-woo not be fooled. Ji-woo still had doubts and checked Song Junsu's file. He was killed while investigating Choi. After Captain Cha's reminder, Pildo started following and investigating Ji-woo. He found out that Ji-woo was looking into clues about Gangjai on her own. He asked why she was acting alone. While Ji-woo was making excuses, Mango showed up. Ji-woo immediately drove after him, and Pildo called his colleague to report their location. They followed him to an abandoned factory and hid on the second floor, watching what was happening below. At the same time, Choi arrived at a restaurant by himself. Unlike before, the place was full of people. He made an excuse to send the elderly owner away. Then he attacked the killers disguised as customers. Choi used his strong combat skills to get out of danger. On the other side, Ji-woo finally saw Gangjai appear. But this time, Ji-woo and Pildo were the ones being hunted. Outnumbered, they were captured. When Mango was just released, Gangjai asked him how he got caught. Gangjai accidentally saw Ji-woo on the surveillance footage. He realized Choi and Ji-woo were playing a big game. So he took a picture of Ji-woo's injury and sent it to Choi, threatening him to come quickly to deal with her body. Ji-woo begged Gangjai to let Pildo go, but Gangjai had already lost his mind. He ordered Ji-woo and Pildo to be locked in a junk car and started the destruction machine. Gangjai, afraid of Choi's revenge, quickly left. Pildo desperately helped Ji-woo break free from the handcuffs. He pushed Ji-woo out first. At the critical moment, Choi crashed his car into the electric box. The machine stopped and the police arrived. After Choi saw Ji-woo was safe, he left first. But unexpectedly, the machine started again. Ji-woo took the risk to pull the loose electric cable. Thanks to the police support, Pildo managed to survive. Seeing Ji-woo badly injured and unconscious, Pildo trusted this girl who risked everything to save him even more. Both the police and gang began to wipe out Gangjai's forces, but it was like Gangjai disappeared without a trace. They only caught a few small thugs. Ji-woo had a nightmare where she saw her dad walking further and further away from her. No matter how much she called, there was no response. She finally woke up from the nightmare. Pildo was by her side, comforting her. He said his sister also died because of drugs, so he understood Ji-woo's hatred for drug dealers. Ji-woo's cold heart was slowly warmed by Pildo's sincerity. Choi was trying to find another way out for Ji-woo. He remembered that she always wanted to live by the sea with her dad. So he asked a lawyer to arrange a house by the sea for Ji-woo, but Ji-woo refused his help. She hadn't found her dad's killer yet and couldn't rest. Captain Cha noticed Choi's car was at the scene and grew more suspicious of Ji-woo and Choi's relationship. So he had Ji-woo's phone tapped. He even called in the officer who worked on Ji-woo's dad's case years ago. The officer greeted Ji-woo, but didn't reveal her identity. Captain Cha privately asked the officer about Yoon Dong-hoon's daughter. The officer played dumb and only said she was missing. As he was leaving, Ji-woo stopped him. Ji-woo asked why he pretended not to know her. The officer only said the one who covered up her dad's case was Captain Cha. The cop turned out to be an addict and had been working with Choi. He thought helping out this time would get him a lot of benefits from Choi, but in the end, he was killed to keep things quiet. Jiwoo found Mango to ask about Gangjae's whereabouts. She said if she told Choi a few things, Mango would be dead for sure. Under her threat, Mango revealed that Gangjae was planning to escape by smuggling himself out. This news quickly reached Choi. Gangjae, afraid he couldn't escape, contacted Captain Cha. He offered to be bait to lure out Choi so the police could arrest him for murder. Gangjae's condition was that Captain Cha must help him escape. Captain Cha agreed on the surface, but in reality he planned to catch them both. Meanwhile, Choi got ready to hunt down Gangjae. He told Taiju to stay behind. If something happened to him, Taiju would be responsible for reorganizing the group. A big fight broke out. Choi's men and Gangjae's men started battling. Captain Cha and his team were hiding, waiting for the right moment. Choi, who had the upper hand, got careless and was ambushed by Gangjae. At the crucial moment, Jiwoo fired a warning shot and saved Choi. Gangjae angrily called Jiwoo a stupid woman, mocking her for not knowing the truth. Then Pildo also arrived. Gangjae planned to reveal Jiwoo's true identity to Pildo. With no other choice, Jiwoo shot and killed Gangjae. As Choi tried to escape, Captain Cha blocked him, but Taiju drove in fast and rescued him. Choi told Taiju to go back to the Dongcheon gang and take control. He stumbled to a nearby temple, when he woke up briefly and saw a doctor and a monk. By the time he woke up again, he was out of danger. Jiwoo had nightmares after her first kill. She dreamed of being back in the ring. Gangjae was alive again. Jiwoo didn't want to fight and was quickly overpowered. Waking up in shock, Jiwoo forced herself to stay calm. She looked at herself in the mirror, feeling a mix of emotions. Pildo came to Jiwoo's house with 2 bags of alcohol. He told her she shouldn't be alone in times like this. He tried to make conversation to ease the mood, even suggesting they go to the beach together. For the first time, Jiwoo felt warmth and opened up to him. She told Pildo that Gangjae had drugged her before and almost hurt her. The scar on her palm came from that time. Pildo looked at her scar, feeling sad for her. So, he thought Gangjae was the person Jiwoo had been trying to catch all along. Jiwoo didn't know how to explain, so she stayed quiet. They quietly watched the snow falling outside the window. After Choi got a bit better, he greeted the monk. They had known each other for many years. The monk pointed out that Choi was living such a hard life because he couldn't let go of many things. But that's how Choi's life was, either fight or die. Jiwoo received a package sent by Gangjae before he died. Inside was a photo of the police team from 2004. Jiwoo's face changed when she saw her dad in the picture. What shocked her more was that the name on her dad's police uniform was the same as Captain Cha's dead partner, Song Junsu. Suddenly, Choi called and asked to meet at the temple. Without much talk, Jiwoo showed him the photo. Seeing no way to hide it anymore, Choi admitted her dad was a police officer. He said Yoon Dong-hoon was an undercover sent by Captain Cha. Later, Yoon Dong-hoon and Choi became like-minded and betrayed the police. Captain Cha couldn't accept the betrayal and killed Yoon Dong-hoon. Choi urged Jiwoo to kill Captain Cha and avenge her dad. Pildo found the temple while checking Choi's escape route. Because the monk covered for Choi, and with Captain Cha suddenly calling him, he missed the chance to find out the truth. Captain Cha was drinking, feeling down. The person he wanted to catch most was Choi, but after failing again and again, his confidence took a hit. Pildo said when he first joined narcotics, Captain Cha once told him that catching drug dealers was like building a sandcastle. It fell over and over because of the waves. Pildo believed if they kept going, they would catch the criminal. Choi noticed Jiwoo was wavering, so he sent Taiju to kill Captain Cha. Captain Cha had just returned home when Taiju, who had been waiting in ambush, stabbed him. Barely alive, Captain Cha fired his gun. Taiju was injured and quickly ran away. Jiwoo arrived shortly after. Thinking the killer had come back, Captain Cha shot Jiwoo in the shoulder. In the standoff that followed, Captain Cha was shocked. He never expected that Jiwoo was Yoon Dong-hoon's daughter. Since Yoon Dong-hoon's death, he had been searching for Jiwoo. But because of Choi's lies, Jiwoo thought Captain Cha was the killer. At that moment, Pildo heard the gunshot and came to the door. Captain Cha handed Yoon Dong-hoon's files to Jiwoo and told her to leave quickly. Jiwoo opened the file. Inside were the reports Yoon Dong-hoon sent to the police years ago. He kept sending information until the day he died. This meant he never betrayed the police. 5 years ago, while Choi was teaching his men a lesson, a listening device accidentally fell out of the lighter he had. That lighter was a birthday gift from Yoon Dong-hoon. Later, Choi found a fax machine in the ceiling of the room. There was even an unsent report in it. Choi finally realized Yoon Dong-hoon was an undercover agent sent by the police. He decided to handle the traitor himself. That night, Yoon Dong-hoon, worried about Ji-woo, took a risk and returned home to check on her. Taiju quickly called Choi. Then Yoon Dong-hoon was killed in front of his own house. There was also a letter from Yoon Dong-hoon to Ji-woo. He was worried something might happen to him, so he gave the letter to Captain Cha earlier. Ji-woo broke down completely. She finally realized Choi, her real enemy, had been using her all along. In a fit of rage, Ji-woo tore open her shirt and grabbed a lighter to burn off the organization's tattoo. She decided to destroy the Dongcheon gang and Choi by herself. Ji-woo felt guilty for misunderstanding Captain Cha, so she went to the hospital to visit him. Luckily, the surgery went well, and Captain Cha survived but fell into a coma. Taiju told Choi that Captain Cha wasn't dead. He also saw Ji-woo at the scene, meaning she might know the truth. They had to kill her. Back home, Ji-woo fought through the pain and wrapped up her wounds. She called Choi, pretending to be loyal, and told him the police were hunting for him, so he should lay low for now. After hanging up, she packed her things to move. Meanwhile, without Choi's approval, Taiju planned to kill Ji-woo. But now Ji-woo had already killed and fought through bloodshed. Her fighting instincts fully kicked in this desperate situation. Taiju, being too arrogant, let his guard down, and Ji-woo found a chance to strike back and kill him. In the end, Ji-woo was the only one left alive. Pildo got a tip that a doctor once treated a man in his 50s at a temple. He remembered he had been to that temple before. He quickly went to arrest Choi, but he didn't expect that Choi would go to the police and turn himself in. Choi wasn't worried about the police evidence. Instead, he mocked them, saying they couldn't hold him. After Ji-woo asked Choi how he got caught, she went to the evidence room. She took the knife Choi used to stab Gangjai and called Choi. The evidence was destroyed. Meanwhile, the police checked Ji-woo's phone records and video surveillance. They confirmed Ji-woo was involved in the cases and immediately went to find Ji-woo. Pildo saw Ji-woo sped past him on a motorcycle. Even Choi casually walked out of the police station right in front of him. Pildo was filled with despair, guilt, anger, and disbelief. He had always trusted Ji-woo, but she had deceived him. Choi told his lawyer he went to the station to test Ji-woo's loyalty. Now he believed Ji-woo was still loyal to him. But soon, he got the news that Taiju was dead. Only then did he realize Ji-woo knew the truth. She didn't free him out of loyalty. She wanted to avenge her dad herself. Ji-woo found her mom's grave using the information Captain Cha gave her. She buried her dad's ashes alongside her mom. Meanwhile, Pildo went to Captain Cha's house looking for clues. He saw a letter from the cemetery on the floor. Then, a colleague called him. There was a lot of blood found at Ji-woo's house. Pildo noticed the urn was missing from the shelf and guessed where Ji-woo had gone. Ji-woo said her final goodbyes to her parents. As she was leaving, Pildo blocked her path. He raised his gun and took Ji-woo back to the police station. When Pildo questioned her, Ji-woo didn't know how to explain. She said she didn't kill Captain Cha and asked if Pildo would believe her. Pildo, still angry, refused to believe her. When Choi heard Ji-woo was arrested, he told his lawyer to get her out at any cost. He wanted Ji-woo to take revenge on him personally. The lawyer told the police that Ji-woo was badly hurt and needed treatment. If they didn't agree, she would expose to the media that there was a gang undercover in the police station. The police had no choice but to agree to send Ji-woo to the hospital. Choi quickly ordered his men to bring Ji-woo from the hospital. When Pildo heard that Captain Cha had woken up, he went to visit him right away. Captain Cha said that the one who attacked him wasn't Ji-woo but Taiju. He then explained Ji-woo's tragic past and how Choi tricked her into becoming an undercover agent. After hearing the truth, Pildo felt deep guilty. Ji-woo quietly unlocked the handcuffs when the doctor wasn't looking. A nurse saw this, but instead of reporting her, the nurse gave Ji-woo car keys and told her the escape route. It turned out the nurse was a girl Ji-woo had saved before. Ji-woo broke through the police blockade and made it to the parking lot. Pildo blocked her way. He couldn't just watch Ji-woo go to her death. While they were arguing, Choi's men rushed in. Facing a common enemy, The two had no choice but to fight together. In the end, they escaped unharmed. Pildo took Jiwoo to an empty house by the sea. While treating her wounds, he urged her not to become a monster just to kill one. The mood slowly turned romantic. They kissed, lost in passion, forgetting the bloody danger around them. Meanwhile, Choi couldn't sleep all night. He didn't understand why everyone he trusted had betrayed him. Suddenly, his lawyer rushed in, panicked. She told Choi to run away quickly. The police had issued an arrest warrant, and Jiwoo was the witness. Choi completely broke down, once again betrayed by those closest to him. Pildo woke up and found Jiwoo wasn't there. He rushed out and found her by the sea. Jiwoo gave up her plan to kill Choi, deciding to let the police bring him to justice. After that, she wanted to start a new life. Pildo went with Jiwoo to the police station to turn herself in. Suddenly, Choi appeared on a motorcycle. He shot and killed Pildo, then quickly fled. Jiwoo was frozen in shock. But soon, her heart filled with burning hatred. She took Pildo's gun and set off on a path of revenge. Jiwoo arrived alone at the Dongcheon gang's headquarters. She went into a killing frenzy. She felt no pain, no exhaustion. Finally, Jiwoo opened the door and saw Choi. She pointed a gun at him and locked the door behind her. After killing Pildo, Choi had calmed down. He had expected this ending for a long time. At first, he hesitated, but in the end, he was moved by Jiwoo's determination. He knew that after Jiwoo learned the truth, she would seek revenge, but he still trained her carefully. Part of it was to ease his guilt, and part of it was because he saw Jiwoo as the same kind of monster as him. But a relationship built on lies couldn't last, especially when it was from the person who killed her dad. Jiwoo grabbed a knife and charged at him, but she was too exhausted and was no match for Choi. Choi picked up Jiwoo's gun, ready to end it all, but he didn't know there were no bullets left. In the end, Jiwoo killed the monster with her own hands, completing her revenge. Finally, Jiwoo visited her dad's grave and placed a photo of the two of them at the front. That day, it snowed heavily, reminding her of the snowy day when Pildo comforted her after her first kill. Jiwoo also visited Pildo and his sister's graves. After a long time, she turned and walked away. No one knew what kind of life she would begin again.